And recording. Are we good to go?
You're all set. You're all
Great, thank
set.
you.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So I gotta have my cue or else I won't know when to start, right? So, all right, I'll call this meeting of the Durham Board of Selectmen to order on March 23rd, 2021. We're still living in COVID world, so we're still meeting virtually via Zoom. And just to confirm that all board members can be heard when I call your name, just please say something to acknowledge that. Todd Bollier,
Yep.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
Mark Farren,
Here.
and Rich George. You're muted, Rich.
Yes.
Okay, great. All board members are present, and we will move on. Any amendments to the agenda from board members?
Kevin, what about the thing that Adam was?
Yeah, I have that. So that's
Okay.
4G is going to be Adam Chamberlain's Eagle Scout project. Any others?
Nope.
Okay, we will move on. Is there anybody here for public comment? Doesn't look like it. Everybody is either a board member or town staff. Rich, did you have something? Oh, okay, then public comment is closed. On to action and discussion items. The 4A is a proposed ordinance change to the road weight limit. It's actually adding more roads to the ordinance. It's not changing the actual weight limit. Calvin, anything you want to mention on this? And you're muted, sir.
Sorry about that. I sent a copy to the board with the just some housekeeping changes, and the section 6 adds a penalty. The attorney wanted us to actually specify the penalty dollar amount, and said that that it could be graduated. So I put $250. The statute says it cannot be less than $250. So that obviously has to be the first offense. And then he said it could be a graduated process. So it could get more expensive if there are subsequent events. So I added a line if the board wanted to add an increase on further offenses. So that change, and we just added 3 roads and changed the starting point on Old Brunswick Road to the intersection of Plummer Mill Road. Those are the only changes. I sent you a copy of the attorney's recommendation that it was just all looked good to him and looked like it was just housekeeping issues.
Anybody have any questions for Calvin? Mark?
Calvin.
Mark first.
Yeah, on average, how many citations do we write or have a year for violations?
We haven't written any. This year is the closest I've gotten. The sheriff actually called the people and told them, called me back and asked me what I wanted to do. And we agreed that he would just give them a very stern warning and not to happen again. But seems to be pushed a little more this year than most for some reason. But to date, there have been none. But once the ordinance is established, the sheriff seems to be willing to go ahead and the sheriff's department seems to be more than willing to go ahead and track them down if they get called. So.
Okay. Good, thanks.
Calvin, why did we change the start spot of Old Brunswick Road?
Well, there are a couple of businesses up on that road, and that end of the road, one is just starting up at just this side of bought that commercial building.
Churches, yeah.
And that's not the section of that road that I'm worried about. That's all sand through there. It's the further end when you get down beyond the dump or toward the dump is where it, the
Mhm.
old dump, where it really starts to have a much less structure.
Mhm.
One other reason, Todd, as I worked with Calvin on this, is that the ordinance allows, like, when someone lives on that road or their place of business is on that road, then they can obviously travel it.
Yeah.
But, like, someone on that end of Plummer Mill Road can't technically travel on two posted roads to get to home. So it like, there's a business on one side of Plummer Mill, it would force them to go out to Dead Man's Curve every time, which just isn't safe, or not the safest route. So we
Okay.
figured the quicker we can get them to 136 and the state roads, the better off we are, because the
Yeah.
spirit of the ordinance is to reduce their traveling on the road. So it makes no sense to send them all the way down Plummer Mill, which is posted. So.
And just to be
Yeah.
clear, this is just for the year-round
The year
posting.
round, yes.
It's not the Spring posting for thaw and freeze, and it's not the annual spring posting.
No,
They still
no.
wouldn't be exempt from that.
That was my question, is because the way there's nothing in the ordinance about that seasonal, because it said, like, section 3.5 exempts vehicles providing services to properties on the road. So does the seasonal posting somehow take precedence over this ordinance?
You know,
Is that how that works?
the seasonal posting is a state statute, but
Ah,
all towns use, and so that's different animals than this here.
Okay, all right, thank you. That answers that. And you answered my other question. I was wondering, how does somebody even get cited for an offense? And you answered that one. But the one thing it mentions several times in there about where a permit might be needed to be issued by the municipal officers. And I don't recall ever being asked to do any sort of permit. So I'm wondering, is that really relevant? And even if it is, should it be the Board of Selectmen, or should it actually be the town manager, with the town manager coming on board?
So an example of this would be like up in Western Maine when they were building all these wind towers. A lot of towns didn't want those towers being hauled down their road, so they would have to get a permit, put up a bond from the town, and the select board would issue the permit. So if you had a massive job going on where they were going to build something bigger than we've ever seen, or that the town may take a position that they don't want that on their road and may require a bond and a permit from the select board.
Yeah, for instance, when the power company comes down through and tears up Stackpole Road.
Right, that would be another example. When the MPRP was going on, they had to get permits from towns and.
And they'll do it again.
Yeah.
If we don't stop them, they're gonna do it again.
Right, so,
So we could probably use a bond on that.
yeah, so that gives you that authority to do that in those rare instances.
Okay.
And do we put up permanent signage going forward? Is that how you do this? Since it's a permanent
Oh, yeah.
thing?
Yeah, there has to be posted, yep.
All right, so it'd be more permanent than the orange signs that we have up now.
Right, yeah, those are just temporary. So currently we have permanent signs on Old Brunswick Road, Shiloh Road, and Layton.
Okay.
They have permanent signs.
Is there any kind of like proactive communication plan? Like, should we be thinking about sending some sort of a written notification to, like, all the gravel pits in town? Or is there some state, transportation, group that we should notify, that would take notifications like this, that just to alert people as they're coming through town? Because, you can drive by a sign 20 times before you even notice that it's there.
Yeah, I could notify the gravel pits, and they could send out a flyer to they could hand a flyer out to all their trucks or send it to their vendors,
Yeah.
their customers.
Okay, Rich had a comment or a question.
Yeah, just two questions if I could. The off-spurt roads, like Plummer Mill is one of them, and maybe Sand Hill off of Old Brunswick Road, for example. It's implied, right, that those residents, those quote unquote foregoing roads or whatever, that they could have, like if somebody bought a lot on Sand Hill and they needed excavation equipment, dump trucks, cement trucks, et cetera, is that automatically implied or would they be subject to a permit?
No, that's in the ordinance. It says, one of the exemptions is that, services being rendered to a homeowner or landowner on the road.
Yeah, but I'm talking about roads that not specifically called out, like Sand Hill Road off of Old Brunswick Road is what coming to mind.
Yeah, so those are not posted. Those wouldn't be posted, but.
But you got to get there.
Right,
That's what
yeah.
I'm asking.
If Old Brunswick is posted, they would still have to get there, yes. And there is also, I could contact the trucking companies, Google or one of those, they have software in the trailer trucks and the big trucks. I mean, one of the trailer truck was using Old Brunswick Road the other day. I had to call up the headquarters in Hamden and track that down and get that to stop, but.
Calvin, I'm just asking if it's implied if that, because they're on a branch of that road, are they under the same structure as the actual residents of the primary road? I don't know if I'm wording it correctly.
So you want to know if they would be allowed to bring a truck, if they had a place of business, if they could
If they
get,
have the same leniency, for lack of
Yeah.
better words, than somebody on the primary road, the people that are on the branch road, whether it's Ross Road on Old Brunswick, Sand Hill Road,
Wires Hill.
Wires Hill, yes.
it doesn't,
Actually, the ordinance, Rich, this might answer your question. In 3.5, it says vehicles providing services to properties located on any of the foregoing roads. So I think that
That's what I
term,
was at. That's why I said foregoing. Is that what that means? Does that imply
believe
those
that's-
other roads?
that's how I would take it to mean.
And then my second question, Calvin, if it's not a state trooper or sheriff's office that says this individual or sees this individual breaking this ordinance and it's perhaps you, does that mean every time we enforce this that you're going to have to go to court?
I don't think so. I think the sheriff would just show up and ask for a written statement and they would take it, would be that's as far as I know. I mean, unless a judge wants witness to be there, I'm not sure. I don't think it's something that we're going to be dealing with all that often, but hopefully
I
people.
would say it's entirely possible that they would want you there or a witness there. Could happen.
Well, you know how it goes. If you get a traffic ticket and the cop doesn't show up for work, you get out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I would think the same rule of principle would apply with a judge. If the person that actually witnessed the event wasn't there, oh well. And if you're saying it's not a common occurrence, then I don't know why we're doing this.
Well, I think once the road is posted, it wouldn't be a common occurrence. I
Oh, you
think
think once it's
on the
posted,
sign.
so it's a common occurrence now? Okay, all right.
Any other questions? So I think the next step is for us to approve the ordinance, if that's what we want to do, as edited by Calvin, and then we have to schedule a public hearing that will just make part of a regular selectmen's meeting, but that has to be posted at least 7 days in advance. So we could post notice sometime in the next, within the next week to have the hearing at our next regular meeting. Is everybody comfortable with that? We ready to move forward, or do we have more work to do?
I just, out of curiosity, I don't, Kevin, you always know typically, right? But would we approve an ordinance before a public hearing? Because wouldn't we approve it, then it's kind of set in stone?
No, I should say approve the language.
Approve the language, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, approve the language, and then because that's what we'll present at for the public hearing.
I got you.
And then this is one of those cases where it's just this board that votes whether to change the ordinance or not. But we still have to do the public hearing part.
I have no issue with the language.
What's that?
I don't have any issue with the language, so it looks copacetic to me if we want to vote on it.
Well, I'm going to move that we accept the language of the Town of Durham ordinance restricting vehicle weight on posted ways as edited by Calvin.
I'd second it for discussion.
Okay.
And to start the discussion.
Okay, discussion.
Calvin still had the question about the fines.
Fine. Yeah, that was
I
going to be my second. Yeah,
I would say
that's why I
just
said it that way.
Yeah, I would say just make every fine 250. That would,
See, I was gonna say the second fine, you get 500. I was gonna
Sure.
double it.
yeah, I'm fine with that too. I just, whatever you guys think.
Yeah,
That was the
where's the
number I had
fine
it when I took it
clause?
out, so it's fine.
I
Sometimes
think if you're a
$250
habitual
may be
offender,
worth
for
it.
lack of better words, you should get popped a little harder the second time or third time around.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to amend my motion to approve the ordinance, the language of the ordinance as presented, and in section 6 penalties for the $500 fine for each subsequent offense after the first one.
Second.
Okay, Rob seconds that. Any further discussion on that? All right, if I'll do a roll call vote. State your vote when I call your name, please. Todd Bollier,
Yep.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
Mark Farren,
Yes.
Rich George,
Yes.
and I am a yes. All right, so Ruth, can you do the necessary public hearing notice for our next regular select board meeting?
Yes,
Great, thank you.
And Calvin, can you notify the gravel pits that we are having that public hearing?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yep. I
Thank
would say
you.
gravel pits and any other big, big equipment business around that you can think of.
Yeah, I can think of one.
Got one of those, Todd?
MCW.
All right, so moving on to 4B, continuing with the Calvin show, paving requests for proposal results.
So I sent you the bid tab. All states was lowest, Crooker was second. We've reviewed the bids, everybody had the proper bonds and proper submissions, everybody was in by the deadline. Everybody met all the bid requirements. So,
5 bids, that was more than we've had in a while, isn't it?
yeah, more than I expected. So so with that, and I said in my, we're familiar with Crooker, we've had a good working relationship. Sometimes that's worth something, knowing what you're getting. But at the end of the day, the lowest price was All States, and I've given that some thought, and I'm willing to work with it either way.
Are we committing to 3 years with the same company with this?
Yep.
We are.
It was a 3-year bid, yep. That's what we did last time with Crooker, was it started out with a 3-year bid, and then we just extended.
Okay. Rich, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just, and I'm reading this, and I don't know if it needs, but with Allstate, I know the specs are the specs and stuff like that, but this implies hot top. We're not looking at cold top with the layover and all that, whatever that stuff we used to use on Cedar Pond, et cetera. This is the actual real deal hot top, not the cold mix with the sprinkle of gravel over it.
Yeah, no, this was all hot mix.
Everybody's apples for apples spec wise.
It was all hot mix, yep.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, when you said you had worked with the other company before?
I've worked with All States before, and I just found them to be a little less flexible. Basically, if we said we were a little behind on ditching and we needed another week, it was not going to happen. And with Crooker, I was able to say, I'm able to work with them. I can call them and say, I need another week, or I need a few days here, and they'll say, well, we'll go there and we'll come back. So there's probably in that lower price, there's some less flexibility, probably due to the price.
Yeah, 48,000 is a lot of money though.
Over 3 years,
And
that's $16,000 a year, yeah.
Rob, anything jump out at you in the bids?
Nothing in the bid per se. All states, they've paved for us in the past, as you know, and I think they can do the job. I am a little concerned they've had, I mean, I know some people that have worked there and they do have a higher employee turnover and the company's a little more volatile, I guess, but you know, they're aggressive on their pricing, which is a good thing for towns. You know, I'm obviously biased having worked at Crooker in the past, so you know, I got to put that out there on the table, but I also know what they're capable of. So, you know, I'm kind of with Calvin in this one. I mean, my preference would be, and I think the value, you know, it's a good point that it's $48,000, but $16,000 a year. I definitely think there's some value with what Calvin deals with and how we work with Crooker. And I think we get a lot of incidentals that aren't always included, you know, just because they are a relatively local company and we have a good history with them. So there's definitely value, and I think we could easily justify going with that bid. That said, you know, if we don't accept Allstate's bids, if I was on their side, I probably wouldn't bid again in the future, you know. But 3 years is a long time, so they may decide to bid again in 3 years if we didn't choose them. It's hard to tell at this point. But both companies have plenty of paving experience for sure. Oh, the only other thing was the distance in trucking, and Calvin and I talked about this. Is as you know, Hut Talk compaction is about 100% of the integrity of the paving comes into compaction, and you need heat to compact it. You know, Crooker's in Topsom, Allstate's is in Richmond. You know, if they have heated bodies, it's probably fine, but I have run into that with paving companies before, not necessarily Allstate's, where they're not, where the material isn't being delivered hot enough and we're not able to get the compaction. So we may get a little bit longer season with Crooker, but again, both companies would be fine.
Well, now that you mentioned that, Rob, Allstate's does close a lot earlier than Crooker's the last one open in the year. So I know that's, it gets to be problematic sometimes for us because they're the only one open and everybody gets in line and we have to wait a little longer for the trucks, but so they are open longer. It does extend the paving season.
Rich?
We didn't do any maintenance paving last year, correct?
Yep, we did.
We did do some maintenance
We did
paving?
half.
We did half. I'm sorry. That's right. Half of the maintenance paving last year. But did we only do half of the ditching? So a lot of these roads might be all ready to roll, right? So the ditching, they could just go right at it.
So what we did is we chose roads that needed a lot of construction work. They were, you know, sections were really bad and other parts were fine. And so we took those roads purposely where we were cutting the budget in half and we went in there with the town crew and box cut those areas and did a lot of construction prep work so that we would be paving only half the distance, but we were getting a lot of work done. So we did get ahead on a couple of roads. We do have a couple of roads that we're ahead on. We've got Beaver Woods almost done, and so it'll be. I think we'll be able to stay ahead of them.
Okay, so that was really the principle of my question. Do we have roads that we basically got done last year that are ready to go right now simply because we cut the paving last year? That's all.
Yeah.
I think what I'm hung up on is the 3-year commitment. If we try something new, I'd be much more inclined to go with the Allstate bid if, for instance, we could see how it goes for a year, and if we're happy with it, we keep going. But if we're not happy with it, we make a change. What kind of you know, out clauses or do we have beyond the first year?
Well, the problem with that would be that you would have to prove that they didn't meet certain criteria in the contract. And by the time you figured that out and parted ways, you would then not be able to get another paving company to step in because their calendar would be full. So that would be very difficult to do.
Oh, we've used Allstate on many jobs before, correct? I mean, for a while here, they were the primary in the town for.
Yeah, when Sean was around.
But
Right.
We've never had them do any hot mix. We had them do the cold mix and the chips.
That's a good point, and that's why I brought that up. That's a good point, yeah. Because then trucking is not really an issue, right? Because it's coming in cold and,
Right, doesn't matter.
Right.
Temperatures don't matter, yeah.
So we're talking about, I just did a little math. It's about a 5.5% difference over over the life of the contract. So I'm gonna follow the lead of, people that know. I probably know the least about this of everybody on this call right now. So Todd, what do you think? You work in this world a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Allstate was that much lower, because I did the same thing on the Day Road subdivision. I got a price from Allstate and Crooker, and Crooker was just a little bit less, not a whole lot, and that was a quarter mile. Yeah, it's not a lot of different, it's not a lot of road, but they were fairly close. No,
Yeah, they are now, too, right? They're within about 5% of each other. So.
Yeah. I would tend to go towards Crooker because of the experience I've had with them. We've done other roads with them, but $40,000, $16,000 a year is real.
yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, the 15 grand to me, I know it's a lot of money to a lot of people, and for me, it's a lot of money, but at the same token, I always try to deal with whoever is, I feel, the most comfortable with the job. And
Yeah.
if Calvin's the super on the job and his preference is, well, I've been using Crooker, I know what I got with this other company, I'm in a rush, I would be more inclined to use Crooker. And I get it, it's $15,000, maybe we could make it up somewhere else, but that's just my food for
I
thought.
think I think if we do that, it's important to have, some reasons to hang our hat on. And one is the comfort factor, but two are a little bit more tangible in that you guys brought up that Crooker tends to have a longer season and they're closer in terms of getting material in its most usable state to the job site.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We gotta have our ducks lined up in a row in terms of bullet points, because the optics don't always look that great when you do something like that. When you put something out to bid, expecting to take the lowest bid, but not always, obviously. But I don't know. To me, if it was my personal property and I knew Crooker versus Joe Schmuckatelli and this other guy and this other guy, I mean, for 5%, I wouldn't bat an eye. I'd go with Crooker, as I have in the past, actually, to be honest. So,
But I think this company, I mean, it's not like it's a brand new company. It's not like the trash contract we did a few years ago. The guy didn't have a compactor, right? I mean,
It didn't even know.
paving company is it's a reputable company. I mean, it's not like I know we're comfortable with Crooker, but this company does work. They're in business. What towns do they do locally around here that, other
they've done
contracts
plenty
they've
for
had,
us
Calvin?
over the years.
They've worked in Lisbon last year, do a lot up in the Richmond area. They did.
Plus, it keeps, I think it's a close call, but the one pros going with the Allied side is that, it does send the message that a lower bid is important to us. And,
Yep.
it makes people sharpen their pencils in the future, maybe on another bid if we show that, because I think we have another one, later, where the chief is also going to recommend the more expensive bid on one of his projects. So, but he's got really concrete reasons for that make a lot of sense. But anyway, yeah.
I mean, my concern is a 3-year run, right? But I mean, it's not like it's a fly by night company. I mean, they've done work around other towns. So
Yeah. And so there must, and I'm sure that the performance standards are spelled out in the contract, or it will be, correct, Calvin?
Yes, yep.
So presumably, if they're meeting the performance standards, we're happy. And if they're not, we can exit the contract. right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah, Calvin, I mean, if you're behind and you think you're going to need every week or day, for lack of better words, of Crooker's plant being open later, maybe the conversation out of the gate is, are you guys shutting down as early as you typically do with this particular company? Because you may not be ready by then, and you might need that extra week or two that Crooker would afford you to have.
Lots of things to do.
I mean, everybody else closes way before Crooker. Crooker is out there till November, and everybody else is closing 1st of October or so. So it's really gives us a lot of extra time to get what we need to do, get done what we need to do.
well,
Yeah, the problem with the 1 year thing, if they don't perform, is going back to the guys like Crooker and say, hey, by the way,
Yeah.
they didn't perform. And Crooker
Yeah,
says,
come
hey,
bail
by
me
the way,
out.
that's not our
Told you
price
so.
anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're no, very, very true.
That's exactly what I would tell you if you came to me and knocked on my door after that. I think anybody would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can guarantee it.
Now you're my friend. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now
We're
you want to
buddies
be
now,
buddies. Yeah. What happened 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
You know?
All right. So somebody want to make a motion? Because I'm not.
I would like to make the motion, but like I said, I have worked with them in the past, and I am going to reiterate the comfort level is important. And like I said, I mean, I know the employees that have left Allstates, and it's not the same crew that we dealt with a few years ago. I remember we had the cold patch issues and the questions from town, and Jerry came in and talked with us, and Jerry's no longer there. And so that's one reason why I've lost some of that comfort level. And, Sean's not there, but that's a different reason, obviously. And, but I don't have any contact there now that I feel comfortable with. So that's kind of where I am. But that said, if Shaw Brothers was low, I wouldn't know anything about them, and I'd probably, be fine. But, so I don't want to make the motion just because of my ties to Crooker, but I mean, that's the direction I'm leaning for sure.
All right. I'll make the motion just to put it out in there. I'm going to move that we accept the bid from Crooker Construction.
I'll second it for discussion.
Rich seconds. Okay. All right. At least we can start the official discussion now. I think this is a tight one, but I think to me the comfort factor, the longer season, that's real, and the proximity of the material, that's real, and we're talking about like a 5% difference. So it's I think it can be justified. Okay. Any other comments?
No, I
Oh,
share
like-
that thought. That's it.
Yeah, like I said,
Agree
I
with
just
that.
think it's not a fly-by-night company. That I know they're different people over there, like Rob said, but I just think we got to look at every dollar for the taxpayer. So
Yep. No, I hear you. All
Fair
right.
statement.
Any other comments? Yeah, Calvin.
I'll just give an example. When we worked with the other company in the past, typically with Crooker, I go down through with a can of paint and I mark out some deeper depressions, and I say we're going to spot shim these spots because you can only put so many inches in a lift and to get compaction. And so when Allstates came down to do the cold mix, I went down through and did the same thing. And they looked at me like I had four heads. They were like, okay, who's going to pay for that? Well, Crooker's always just, whatever I ask them to do, they just go do it. They make it happen. You lose that flexibility. So I'm not sure. There might be some other things I'm not anticipating that I go to ask him to do that.
Well, presumably that should be pretty well detailed, like in the contract, like what's included, what you can ask them to do.
We specified a number of tons for spot shimming. I did make sure I put that in there, but what if we go over 15 tons? Crooker would just do it for the same price, whereas they could say, well, I'm not doing it for that price.
Yeah.
When you're talking about shimming, you're guessing. You're using an educated guess because you can't measure every wheel rut and every depression. So I'm just throwing that out there that, we don't know what we're gonna get in that. So it could cost us more than $15,000 a year in extras.
Okay. Any further additional comments or questions? Okay, so the motion is to accept the paving contract bid from Crooker Construction. So please, if you're, state your vote when I call your name, please. Todd Boyer.
You had to ask me first, right?
You're in the top left of my monitor. That's it.
I know. No,
Todd's a no. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Rob Ponto,
Yes.
Mark Farren.
No,
Oh, you bastards. Rich George.
Yes.
Well, I'm voting yes. So 3-2, it goes to Crooker.
fair enough.
All right.
I will say that was a good discussion that we had either way. It's
Sure.
we're choosing between two good options, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's difficult.
good discussion though.
Yep. Too bad discussions don't happen like that on higher levels of government. Huh? Okay, 4C, workers' comp safety incentive program. Did I get that right?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So Ruth, you want to give us a little briefing on this one?
Well, MMA has started a workers' comp safety inspection program. And if you follow their guidelines in the program, they will give you a discount on your workers' compensation insurance. The lowest discount is 5%, but it does go up, I believe, to 10%. And so I have talked to Calvin and Chief regarding this, and these are things that we do. This would just more solidifying the system that we have, and then we would report all of our system back to MMA, and then they would give us a discount.
And I guess I was reading through the materials. There's different tiers depending on like what level of safety measures you put in place, and you have to self-report where you are by September 1st for a potential adjustment for the next year's rate. That's how that works?
Yes, they did. I did get an email today that extended the deadline for this part of it, but not the September 1st deadline. So I don't really know why you would put it off.
Yeah.
If you were going to do it anyways.
Okay. And this is a new program?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Any board members have any questions or comments on this? I mean, is there a downside? I mean, is they're doing it? I mean,
Well, sometimes the cost to keep up with their standards can be higher than what your premium is. So, I mean, it's something that needs to be looked at, but I just don't know at what and how in depth you want to look at it. But, this is one of those prime examples as a select member. I'd say, I think this is something nice for the town manager to look at and implement over the next year.
yeah, I had similar thought when I was reading through it. But first step, Ruth, is just what, like, yeah, we're interested, basically.
Yeah. The acknowledgement.
And then if for some reason we sent that and then never did anything else, what would happen?
Well, that's a good question.
Because the deadline for what's the term?
Well, the acknowledgement and the resolve, the deadline changed. It changed to, sorry, I had it up and then I lost it. Okay, so the acknowledgement is not due anymore until July 1st, and the resolve is not due till August 1st now.
Okay, so we have some time.
Yeah,
So-
you do have the time.
So maybe, and maybe, Chief and Calvin, you guys might want to listen up on this one, is that I think and you too, if you guys look through the criteria, and if you haven't already, and see if there's anything in there that raises a concern for you, like, ooh, that would be really expensive to do that, you know, or anything like that that pops out at you. I skimmed it. Most of what I saw was about training and communication and like, you know, good practices in terms of like lifting and wet floors and stuff like that. But if there were any sort of like equipment or monitoring system or something like that that would need to be purchased, we probably want to evaluate that. But, so I
Does it say
think-
anything about it, like an external audit or anything like that? I mean,
I believe that there was something about that. Don't they come and check you out, Ruth?
I think they do. I think they
I was trying
do.
to read through it, but I just,
Well, I
Yeah,
believe MMA they come and do the visits regardless of whether you do this or not.
Yeah.
We do this at the sewer district. There's really not much, there's no cost for us beyond what we're already spending on safety and training and stuff anyway. And even if we don't meet all the tier levels, like there's 3 different tier levels and you get a discount based on that. It's probably worth doing even if we only meet the lowest or the you know, first or second tier, which those items had I think we would probably pass as is, looking at it. So I think it's worth doing. I don't think there's a concern. You know, I've never seen a company lose money because of it. It's really all about incentivizing safety. So I think it's a good program from MMA.
Yeah, I know. My question, especially when our rates went up so much, is, you know, there's probably other options from the town to be insured by, and, you know, it's nothing wrong, just kind of like paving contacts, just sometimes put that stuff out to bid and see where we stand. It's just food for thought also.
That's a great point. Well, given the extensions of the deadlines, it doesn't feel like we need to really do anything on this tonight, and that maybe we should, you know, revisit it. When's the first deadline, Ruth? July 1st?
July 1st, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, mid-May to mid-June, we could look at this again, and when things, you know, settle down with the whole town manager thing is resolved, and then we can go from there. That would kind of be what I would say.
I think that's fair.
Yep.
We'll
Sounds
good.
table it for now.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna move on to 4D, a discussion of bulky waste day. So Ruth reached out and sounds like Casella was absolutely in agreement that they would provide at no cost some sort of a bulky waste opportunity this year because we didn't have one last year. They're not comfortable doing one in May. It's too soon, and I would concur with that. So they've given us a couple of options. We can do one later in the year, like say maybe September. But they've got some different conditions on that in terms of like nothing can be over 5 feet long, and people, when they bring their stuff, it needs to be kind of sorted and separated by material. So like metal is separate from, I don't know if it's just metal that needs to be separated out, Ruth, or is it other stuff? Or
It's really just the metal, because that goes in a different spot than the rest of the trash. The rest of the trash goes into the packers.
yeah. The other option they've offered that I found intriguing was, you know, we could pick a day and say, oh, and that day, Durham residents can bring their bulky waste to their facility in West Bath. It's a little bit of a drive, but it's logistically, it's by far the easiest option. So put that out for discussion.
So maybe they could provide us a week rather than just one day.
Oh, maybe it would. Did they say one day, Ruth, or what? How did they
They
word
did,
that?
they did say one day, but I didn't ask if we could do it for a week.
Maybe 2 Saturdays, you know,
Or
Well,
something.
yeah,
It's just,
I mean, bulky waste is just when we have it, it's only one day.
it's true.
no, that's true, but you can make multiple trips to I mean, depending on where you live in the town, you could go there 5, 6 times. It's not
That's
necessarily,
true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
it's not the easiest thing to do to go to West Bath. Believe me, I go there quite often.
Yeah. All right. So that's a clarifying question. Would it just be one trip, or could it be like for a number of days, like a week, or two consecutive Saturdays, or whatever? So Ruth will pose that question. Any other? Because we don't need to make a decision tonight, right? I mean,
No,
no, right?
no, we
Okay.
don't.
So any other questions that we would want Ruth to go back to them with? No?
No, I mean, are they looking for a specific level? What, I think we're in green or whatever we're in now, or are they looking for a specific case before they would want to maybe possibly implement this again? I mean, what is there
Well, they're
is
looking
there a
towards,
guideline that they're going by?
no, not particularly. They're looking towards September because they feel that in September, there will be a better number of people who've been vaccinated. And at this point, they're just concerned that their crew would come down with the COVID and have to be stuck inside, stay at home, and then they'd be out a whole crew. So I think that they're thinking in September, the herd immunity will be much better and the more people will be vaccinated.
So I'm reading from the letter they sent, Ruth. So this is about if we did the bulky waste in September, they would provide all the labor, packing trucks, roll-off containers for metal, OBW, is that something bulky waste? And tires. Residents would need to organize their material in their cars, trucks, trailers. We would need all material to be bagged, boxed, or in clear containers. We are trying to reduce injury and sickness. Also asking residents to organize the material in piles in their vehicles, metal on one side and OBW on the other. 5 feet in length and shorter to prevent debris flying or materials getting packed down from packer trucks.
And now you're talking about 40 trips to the.
Well, that's,
your traditional 5 trips. It might take you 10 trips if you got to do that.
Because you got to pack it.
Everything is
Oh
bagged.
man, I mean,
Yeah.
that's
I
a lot
don't-
of work.
yeah, I don't think that holds true for people who take it to West Bath, though. I
Right.
can ask them that, but it's a different situation in West Bath because they're not shoving everything in packers.
Okay.
All right. Well, why don't you get that additional information, Ruth, that we've talked about so far, and everyone can kind of noodle it over, and we'll talk about it again.
Hey,
Oh, you already fed her?
yeah.
You end up with a fat
Sorry.
cat. All right. Anything else on the bulky waste day? All right, 4E, Memorial Day Parade and 5K Fun Run.
Yes.
Have you had anybody reach out to you, Ruth, or are you just asking this question on your own?
Well, partially on my own. I did have a conversation with Chad the other day, and we talked about stuff. But I figured if we're going to do it, we should start making plans now. So I was just wondering what you guys' feelings was on it.
What do people think about that?
I don't know.
Oh, go ahead, Rich.
What's the state's feelings on that? You know what I mean? I'm fine with it personally, but I don't know
Well,
what the
I did
community
the
and the state would feel about it.
calculations. Well, I did the calculations, and you could, if you had social distancing along both sides of the road during the parade, you could have up to, I think it was 950 people I got.
Yeah. But then what about, now then the people actually in the parade would have to social distance, right?
Yeah, first of all, I don't think we can tell people that are standing on the side of the road, hey, by the way, you guys can't clump together, because I know what's going to happen. Everybody I know is going to clump together.
Yeah.
I can tell you that right now.
Talk to the hand, right?
Yeah. Who are you folks?
Right.
COVID police?
Yeah.
Well, there would
As far
certainly
as
be
the
family
parade
groups.
itself, I don't know. I guess you could have a parade with vehicles and family per car or something going through town, but I think it would just depend upon the state. I don't know if we'd want to.
What kind of situation or status is the committee in? Is there a committee anymore?
Yeah, we have a committee.
Okay.
Yeah, I did discuss it with Joe Howe as well. And his comment was that he didn't want to be the only one doing a Memorial Day parade.
Good point. I don't think we'll be the only one. I just think
Yeah.
we may be in the minority, like there's only going to be a couple. I don't think
Yeah.
we'd be the only one.
Chief, do you have any comments on it? Thoughts? You're muted.
Not at the moment. Actually, I just noticed it was on the agenda tonight, and I really haven't had a chance to do any research about what the state's recommending yet for that. So I can look into it.
Well, I know by May 24th is when all outdoor venues go to 100% capacity. With, still got the mask, and I think you still got the 6 feet even. So I don't know how you ever do 100% capacity if you're all 6 feet apart. But by the time we get to Memorial Day, assuming we stay on the present, course, the outdoor restrictions are pretty much gone at that point.
That's still the issue, though, is even at this point, there's still daily conflicting information depending on what source you look at. It's
Yeah.
I think we can certainly look into it, but I wouldn't assume anything just yet.
Is there a drop dead date we would have to, I mean, what is it, what comes to planning this? Is it, I know for like the fun run, there's like 25 people there probably isn't normally what they have. And
Yeah, we had
Maybe
talked, Chad and I had talked about maybe doing that on a rotating basis. They don't get a ton of people, so you could, have.
You might if you're the only one.
yeah,
Have one group leave at 8 and one group leave at 8:10 and one group leave at 8:20 or something is what we were kind of talking about. If you were going to do the fun run. And then, yeah, so.
but even like the parade, I mean, how long does it take to, how much
I think-
notice do people need for a month?
I think
or-
if we made sure that we decided we were going to go in the direction, if we wanted to go in the direction, and obviously if you start in the direction and you need to cancel at the last second, then you do. But I think a month would be a good starting point.
Yeah, I wonder if we just, if have them start planning with the understanding of it's really a contingency plan, like let's plan as if we're going to do it, but we all know that it's kind of like a, game time decision, whether you actually go or, get a week or two out, whether you can call a go or no go, but prepare as if you're gonna go.
Yeah, and the other thought I would have is, Memorial Day, if it seems, obviously that's not as far away as it sounds. Maybe they might want to think about a 4th of July parade or a Labor Day parade. And I only say that because, Lisbon is about, out of any town that I know of in the state of Maine, Moxie Parade is everything to that town. And they've already elected not to go forward with that. And they're usually pushing the boundaries when it comes to this stuff. But they were one of the few schools in the state that actually shipped everybody back on the first part of the year. So that would be, my hesitation. Like, if they're not doing it, we're doing it.
Yeah,
It
it's risky for sure.
But theirs is a little different than ours too. Don't they have like food carts and other things? And,
Parade's a parade. Yeah, after
Yeah,
the
in the
parade. The
downtown.
parade's the parade. They have a 5K run in the morning, and then they have a parade, which is a very good parade and a very big parade. And then the food thing, I mean, I don't know. I'd say, some people go to it, but I think most people go for the parade. And then it's pretty much, that thing's pretty much over after 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon for the most part. There's a concert at night. That gets pretty busy. But like I said, they're not doing it. They've already, and that parade means everything to that town.
Yeah. I was surprised.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe, we just plan it. Say we may have to postpone it. I mean, I think it would be great for the community if we could do something, but.
I just think it's a little short right now. Plus, you're not going to be able to probably utilize the school. The kids won't have the fun day this year, which usually brings them all out. So
Valid.
that's why I was thinking maybe either July 4th day or, 4th of July parade, or maybe a Labor Day parade or something of that nature.
I like
Hell,
that.
Thanksgiving Day parade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it feels a little
Too
feels like
premature.
finding trouble we don't really need for Memorial Day.
We'll make the paper, which is cool.
Yeah.
That's a good enough reason.
I mean,
All
we'll be
right.
looked at a little different. Freeport will love us.
All right. 4F. Self-contained breathing apparatus request for proposal results. Chief.
4F, think you have an updated agenda, but okay.
Oh, what did I say?
You said 4F.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Yeah, they
Okay, I
added
have
it,
an old
like-
agenda apparently.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
All right, sorry, I would have been more prepared for that. Oh,
You're muted. Unmute.
okay, this has been my curse for today. Earlier today, I actually was unmuted accidentally in a Zoom meeting. I didn't swear, but
Uh-oh.
it was close. So we get two proposals back. One for 52,500 from Strategic Safety Dynamics, which sells the Draeger brand SCBA, and one from Fire Tech and Safety out of Winthrop for 56,950, who sell the Scott SCBA. Did everybody get the review that I sent on that? So, I mean, once again, my recommendation is, I mean, Scott, in my opinion, is the superior product anyway. For training purposes, for compatibility purposes, for not having two different brands of a pretty critical piece of equipment in the station, Scott should be our purchase.
Yeah, tough to argue with that. But if that's the position, then maybe in hindsight, next time we have to do this, we spec that we want Scott whatever and get prices on the Scott, because if it's a compatibility issue, I agree with you 100%. Then
The
why
only
even bother?
The only issue becomes is sometimes people can take issues if you write what they term as a lockout spec. So, I mean, that if we hadn't opened it up to everyone, that could be an issue. But another simple point, it's finances for us. We've just spent, $40,000 in the last 2 years replacing all of the SCBA bottles. This other vendor's brand, we'd have to buy all new bottles with that purchase, and they're not giving us anything on a trade-in.
The bottles don't work with like they're not universal. It's not a universal thing.
No, no,
Yeah.
that's,
So
that's no good.
I think we need to just write the proposal and say Scott, because there's no way that we would vote not to go with that.
Exactly.
From a safety
Well, I
standpoint.
mean, like I said,
impossible.
some communities have had issues with vendors that are trying to get in the game or get their foot in the door in the state. I mean, I don't know of actually anybody else in the state of Maine right now that has Draeger. That's one reason why I think their price is lower. But it's just the fact of the matter is Scott's the smarter purchase for us across the board.
All right.
So I would be awarding that pending the vote on the 6th, of course.
Yep. So I'm going to move that we award the SCBA purchase to Fire Tech and Safety in Winthrop, Maine, pending the outcome of the town meeting vote.
Second.
Rob seconds. Any further discussion? All right. When I call your names, if you're in favor, yes. If not, say no. Todd Bollier,
Yes.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
Mark Farren,
Yes.
Rich George,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. Okay. Next, 4G is a Adam Chamberlain. You may recall, came to us. This is before COVID. He's a local Boy Scout working on his Eagle project, and his Eagle Scout project is to build a pavilion over at Runaround Pond on posts and picnic table, and provide a sheltered spot for people. And he already has a permit from our code enforcement officer. And basically, the town is the beneficiary of the project. So he has some paperwork from Boy Scouts of America where the beneficiary needs to sign. This basically says, yes, he's brought the project and we've agreed to it, and yada, yada, yada. So I'm asking that the board authorize me to sign that for Adam.
So moved.
Have we seen a drawing or anything of
We
what the
have, yeah,
structure?
we reviewed.
that last-
Rob is
last-
actually his project supervisor or coach or whatever.
Project Coach, I believe it's called. Yeah. So I helped Adam locate it. We did take some pictures of the area with some stakes in the ground, and he has provided some sketches. It was back in September of last
Okay.
year. But and so I think we've actually discussed the project a couple times. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
right.
we've seen a formal proposal, but we've definitely seen, enough to get the idea. So. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So, basically, all right, any other, do we have a motion? Did somebody?
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we authorize Kevin to sign this application. Is it an application? What is it?
Yeah, application's fine, yep.
I'll second.
Todd seconds. All right. I think
We lost Rich.
I think
Yeah,
we
we
lost
lost
Rich.
Well, we can vote with 4. We don't have to wait for him for this one. All right, so state your vote when I call your name, please. Todd,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So that vote is 4-0. We lost Rich to technical difficulties.
And he's back.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna move on to 5A. Calvin, Road Commissioner report.
So we went over the 3-year paving bid. I guess we don't need to go over that again.
Nope.
The GP cog heating fuel bid came in. I sent you a copy of that. So we're currently paying $2.70 a gallon from Down East. They've agreed to lock in. Their lock-in price was $2.37.
And is this just for public works, Calvin?
Yeah, we're the only ones that burn heating oil. Everybody else.
Okay, that was my question. Okay.
They're propane, so.
All right.
This was a GP cog bid, went out, all of the bidder, they were the only bidder of the entire region, so. 237 is the lock-in price, and I think with the way fuel prices are going this year, I think the lock-in is the best way to go. Last year, we went with Rack Plus, so. So I've agreed to do that. So that went through the proper bidding process through GP Cogs. All the towns join in. So there's that. So we're still saving, 30 something cents a gallon off from what we're paying now. So, and it's guaranteed for a year. So.
Is that lower than the price you built your budget on?
I think it's going to come out to, we figured the gallons, and it will be right around, I figured 40,000. It's going to come out to right around there when I added up the gallons that we anticipate using. So
40,000?
yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was a transportation fuel bid.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that came in today, and I met with them today on that. That's a different. We got these two. They were the winning bidder on that also. So, but
We had a
yeah.
sauna business going
How
over there.
many gallons did you say we use over there of heating oil?
What was that?
What's that, Mark? We couldn't quite hear you.
How many gallons did you say we use in heating oil?
2,000. 2,000. Yeah. So, So that, I think that's the way to go with what I and everybody else I've spoken to thinks fuel prices are going to do that coming year. I think that's a wise move to lock in at 237. So the I've sent you the attached the latest drafts from the stream crossing grants, the 2 grants. So pretty much there was just a couple of typos on my email address and the spelling of the town. So road. So it was just a couple of minor things. I talked to him today, called back, and he was going to make those changes. But so I guess that will be the only change on the document. And with that said, I would like to have permission to, I had him change Public Works Director to Road Commissioner. I had him change the email address to .com and the Royalsboro Road spelling. So those were the only changes. So I guess
Do
with
we
that-
do we have an idea of how much we will need to spend beyond the grant money for this? Do we have that yet?
we don't. I know Pownell just had a bid opening on theirs, came in at 137. And I think theirs is a bigger structure than these will be. And they had 8 bids, so
What are the grants for, Calvin? How much?
125. And we've got 2 of them, so it's 250,000.
So if you were figuring it on Pownell's bids, you would consider, we would pay about 24,000 plus probably some design.
I think their structure is a little bit bigger, but yeah.
So just to put a little cushion in there, if we needed to spend 40,000 above and beyond this, we have that in Public Works capital.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Right? So, okay.
Is that 40,000 per or 40,000 combined?
I was thinking combined for the 2.
Yeah.
If we need, just as a,
No, it's a good idea. I just wasn't sure. I missed the thread of whether or not.
Yeah, I was thinking
40,000 per.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I also sent you the summary report from the engineer. So I know that there was a question whether or not we wanted to do it this year or next year. So he gives the recommended schedule of this year, optional schedule of next year. Well, this looks like he was supposed to put 2022 on the optional schedule, but put 2021 on both of them. So that was a typo, obviously.
when you get further down, it says 2022.
Yeah, I think those are typos, yeah. Well, no, some of those are right there, but that first one.
So we have to sign the contract like tomorrow? Is that what that's?
Yeah, well, that's just saying that we're going to accept the funds. It doesn't dictate when we have to do the project. That's up to us.
But is that a deadline? We have to sign that tomorrow?
No, it was just that's when the DEP suggested that the contract would be available for signing.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And today they were supposed to send me the final, and I didn't get it because I have a feeling that they used that same wrong email address, but I'll call them back tomorrow.
All right.
So I just would like to have authorization to sign the agreement with the DEP. Then we would need to discuss the schedule of when you want to do it this year. The engineer recommends this year. He thinks that if we wait till next year, it's going to go up 10, 15%.
Probably right.
Why does he think 5 to 10%, he says in his letter here, and that's just materials cost? Because like right now, it's an extremely competitive bidding client. Well, not competitive. I'm surprised Pownell got 8 bids, but most contractors are pretty well booked up, and by fall, I think they're gonna have pretty much everything planned out. So I think if we go to bid this year, we're gonna have a hard time getting anyone even to give us a number.
Well, we'd be ready for bid in April, be ready for bid in April, yeah.
You can get it that fast, okay?
Yeah.
Well, I guess if we go with that schedule and we don't like the bids, we can always sit on them, right?
Right.
Or rebid it in the spring. Okay. So we need a motion here to authorize him to sign the contracts.
Yeah.
I'll try to, I move that we authorize Calvin to sign the DEP grant contracts for both Swamp Road and Quaker Meeting House Road as presented.
A second.
Mark seconds. Okay. Any further discussion or questions for Calvin on that? All right, state your vote when I call your name, please. Yes, if you're in favor of the motion. No, if you are. Todd Boyer,
Yes.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
Mark Farren,
Yes.
Rich George,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. All right. That takes care of those. Anything
And,
else, Calvin?
yeah, so we've already gone over the weight restriction ordinance, so. I guess I would need authorization to enter into a contract, same as we did last year with Crooker. That I and the engineer meet with Crooker over at their plant. We signed the bid docs and the contract.
Well, didn't we actually get a document last year to review before we did that?
Yep, I can get that to you.
Yeah, and we just want to then we should review the actual review the contract.
Yep, okay. Yep, I will get that. I thought I had sent you the contract documents back a while ago, but I will get it, send it to you. And I don't think it's anything we need to do. I could do it next meeting.
All right, is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Department report. Lateef.
Yes. Everyone obviously received the report that I sent? The crew's here tonight working on that technical rescue training that I had referenced. All of our apparatus are in service. The two remaining discussion topics, one, the ending of our billing service with Freeport. So Freeport Fire Rescue after July 1st will not be continuing running a billing service. So they let us know as soon as they had made that decision. They've come to that while they're making their budgetary changes for this year. So they're going to be going out to bid. They had offered the opportunity for us to go into a joint bid with them, excuse me, to pursue that, or I can go out and look for things on my own. I'm not sure what direction the board would like me to take. Honestly, we do so few calls. Most places do billing based on a percentage of what they bill you. Speaking with Chief Jordan over in Freeport, the discussion would actually be for us to tack on with them to whatever billing company they find for the continued per call rate that we do right now, which would get us more, which would net us more in return than going our own way and billing for a percentage. I'm happy to do whatever the board would like. Just wanted to make you aware of this, and I'll be exploring more in the coming week.
So, what do we know much about options? Just for the sake of argument, I have no issue going in with Freeport as an option, but what other options are there?
There are honestly there are quite a few billing companies out there. There are very few services that I know in the state that do their own billing. Most of them contracted out because it's become such a complex thing, billing for healthcare related stuff. So I was planning to reach out to a few different departments to find out who they utilized and speak with Chief Jordan to find out if he had done any research on where they were going. But this The impression I got from him on the phone last Wednesday was this was a pretty abrupt decision that they were making. So I don't think they've gone far with the exploration either.
So we don't need so you're just letting us know you're going to do a little bit more research and maybe have a little more detail on options.
Correct. This won't take effect until July 1st, but
Okay.
the sooner we have a plan, the better. I just wanted to make the board aware of this.
Okay.
And the RFPs that came back for the fleet evaluation or the fire protection evaluation, did everyone get the review that I put together for that?
Yep.
Okay. So like I said, I put my opinion in there as well. One of them being at 44,450, that's just not within the scope of what we could really consider. The bid for 18,525 for municipal resources, certainly more within the price range. Considering the initial price that I had spoken with emergency vehicle response was about 13,000. But as I expressed in my review, sorry, I keep hearing feedback. It makes me think someone's trying to talk to me. As I expressed in my review, the information from municipal resources left me a little concerned that a lot of it was regurgitated information that they have the service provide to them. It's just put together in a very fancy format. Nothing really of the depth that I was looking to get out of this evaluation. And then, as I said, I was much happier with the product that emergency vehicle response had demonstrated. But they expressed their concerns with the way the RFP was worded. Because I think that we have more homework to do on our own in regards to answering those questions about what the town actually wants.
I think that's fair. So what are you recommending as the next step, Chief?
So as was stated in the letter, and I hope I included the copy of that letter from EVR. My recommendation is that we go with their tiered recommendation. We do the evaluation of the apparatus first. That is right now, until we know more about what the townspeople specifically want moving forward. That's the real meat of what we need to know for capital planning moving forward. And the sooner we have that, the better we can actually apply that information to the capital planning for the coming year. So my recommendation would be to reach out to them, to take that tiered approach and to schedule the fleet evaluation with them as soon as we're able to.
Well, I think there might be a step we need before we do that, like
Okay.
a price.
Okay.
Wait, I think maybe, because I think they raised some legitimate points about scope of work. So I think we need to go back to them with the refined scope of work as you've described, and ask them to give us the detailed proposal on what they would do and a price.
Okay. I did not, because this was an open RFP process, I did not engage with them, but they did give us a price initially for the fleet evaluation 2 years ago when I had talked to them about that. And that was at 13,000, and the repeat discussion that I had with them right before we put this RFP out, that was a price they were still willing to honor.
All right, well, that's great, but we should have that in a document.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's one piece of it. Members have other questions or concerns about?
Yeah.
this, Rob?
So that 13,000 though, that's only for the first tier of their tiered approach, right?
Correct.
So, and then what's the second tier?
So the first tier would be the actual apparatus assessment, the fleet assessment that we had discussed. The second tier would be the larger piece of what they term a fire protection study. So they would look at, one, the information that we present to them as far as what does the town want for services, both fire and EMS coverage. Then they would look at things like the station condition, station location, water supply, mutual aid availability, those types of things, look at call response times, how to match more closely what the townspeople want for a service with what we're already doing and what we already have to provide that service, and then recommendations for where to go moving forward.
Okay. And I mean, so, and then the third tier is,
No, there was just
there's just 2 tiers. So this sounds like that second tier scope of work is maybe even more than the first tier.
I don't want to speak for a company,
Yeah.
and what they, I would rather have them come to the board with a proposal and cost, but.
And I think it's 2 separate questions. I
Right.
think we may decide never to do a second tier
Yep.
study. Really, the first tier is really, I think it fills the need for planning for apparatus capital expenditures. It's not going to answer questions about, is the fire station too big or too small, or do we need a, satellite station, or do we need, whatever, it doesn't answer those questions. I think what became apparent is we won't be able to answer those questions unless we did a, pretty in-depth public input process. But in terms of planning capital and, what do we need in the fleet and what do we not need in the fleet, this is the work that'll help us get that.
So, and you're saying the company that submitted the $18,000 price, I don't want to get them confused here.
Right. That was,
Municipal Resources.
yes.
And you don't think that they're qualified to do the job, essentially?
In looking at what they presented to the town of Gray, which is a larger department with a larger staff, a larger budget, a larger community, with more fire protection concern than ours, I wasn't impressed with the material that was presented, simply because, like I said, a lot of it seemed to be regurgitated information that the service already provided them in the first place, like their response times and their staffing numbers and things like that. That's a lot of it was stuff looking at that type of a review. That's a lot of things we already know. I know what my response times are. I know what my staffing level looks like. Daytime to nighttime, things like that. What we don't have, what we need more critical information on, is the condition of the apparatus and what to think about moving forward, particularly with those in regards to capital. And what they presented was not nearly to the depth that I was looking for.
So in fairness, Chief, it feels like maybe just to cover our bases, maybe we should go back to them and offer them the same type of feedback and clarification that we're offering emergency vehicle response, and ask them to resubmit.
Well, that's,
Go ahead.
well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. I mean, I think in a way, I wish this was just an RFQ and we were just going based on qualifications. But when we put a proposal out there and then a company doesn't give us the price, now they've seen, or it's public knowledge, what the other prices are. They may not have seen. So I have a hard time going back and negotiating with them. And so I think Kevin raises a good point that if we're going to negotiate and try to get apples to apples, we need to do it with both companies. I think we're safe to throw the third one out, Public Consulting Group, because they weren't in the ballpark at all.
Right.
But, if EVR had at least given us a range or hourly rates or something that we could lock in and to compare, then I'd be more comfortable with it. But
In all fairness, before this even went out, EVR did give us a price,
that is true.
and it was exactly for the same information that they've put out there again.
Yeah. Well, they could have included that in the response.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that I understand what you're saying about the price not being put in there, but I think that was sort of included with with the letter that they returned simply stating that some of what we put into the RFP really wasn't within the scope of what they were, with what this type of proposal should be encompassing. So they would rather address that specifically and then come back and discuss it. So.
So Chief, we're really, I mean, this report is really just, from what you've been talking about, is just gonna say like truck X needs to be replaced in 5 years and truck Y needs to be replaced in 10 years. I think what the town and what I was thinking we were gonna get out of this was, you know, do we need a ladder truck? I mean, I think that's probably the biggest question in the town, right?
Well, but there's,
A
right,
piece
but
of
there's,
it,
but
right?
there's
I
two
don't think
different,
we're gonna get that out of this, what we're talking about right here. It's more of, you know, here's the equipment we have and here's when it needs to be replaced.
I'm
And I
trying to
want- if
think
we're gonna
I'm
spend
trying to think of the best way to.
$15,000 on something, if we add another, you know, 10, do we get that next step? I mean, I know that's a lot of money,
I
but
think with what Mark's saying, I agree somewhat on that. Is like, I'm looking for a company to come in and say, okay, you've got 2 of those and 1 of those and 1 of those, but really what you need is 2 of those and 1 of those, you know, and just, and then we can build a capital plan around making that transition.
But what they were trying to explain was that's not really what any vendor should be coming in and doing. We need to start with one. We have a fleet. We have the fleet that we have, and I need more information before I can legitimately discuss capital expenditures and costs compared to, you know, what we have, an expert's opinion on the condition that it's in, how long they can last, what we can do with what we have right now. The other piece of that, and this is kind of what they challenged with some of the wording in our RFP, was the fact that they could come in and say, well, you should have, you know, 4 shifts with 20 guys and 2 more substations and 5 more trucks. That's what we think you should have. But what does the community want for, it's not their place to come in and tell us or the community what we should have for fire protection or EMS protection. We need to kind of make that decision for ourselves.
Right. No, I agreed on the service end, but I'm just talking apparatus. Like it shouldn't need a big, you know, fire services study or public input for someone to come in and look at the types of buildings we have in the town and say whether they think of, you know, to provide adequate protection that a ladder truck is necessary or not, or if the fleet has enough water carrying capacity given the water resources in town, or, you know.
But once again, that's where you're kind of the two different reviews are kind of getting meshed together there, because
Well,
that's a fire protection study.
Maybe then maybe we hold off completely until we can get what we want, because to Mark's point, if we and what you said, we have the fleet that we have, but what if the fleet we have isn't really optimized for, you know, what the town can afford for one and what we need? And I don't want to develop a capital plan to simply replace a fleet that's not optimized for the, you know, best bang for the buck and what we can, you know, what we need to provide for protection service. I'm not looking for just, you know, like, yeah, you've got these 6 trucks and this is what you should do to those 6 trucks over the next, you know, 15 years. That doesn't really get us very far, I don't think.
Okay. Like I said, I'll stand behind my review, because EVR also did provide us with a copy of a fire protection study that they did for that community in Indiana. And I feel like the material that they have produced demonstrates the quality of what we are looking for, both for the apparatus review and the fire protection study, compared to the study that was produced by, Municipal Resources Incorporated.
Yeah.
Chief,
So
will this
what is the
study
difference
indicate,
Hold on, Rich
Chief,
was
so-
saying something.
you know, Chief and I have had numerous conversations about this, obviously, whether it's in this format or at his office in particular. But I'm as of tonight, I'm a touch confused myself. So would this study identify for the town what specific apparatus we would need currently and or moving forward?
That would be more part of the fire protection study. But
Okay.
as we're trying to build a capital plan, we are looking at apparatus that we need to consider starting to figure out how to pay for within the next couple of years.
No, I understand that. And I can appreciate that. But the fact of the matter is you can't really formulate a capital plan if you're not sure if you're, let's say, buying a dump truck versus a plow truck, or, you know, an excavator versus a loader. I mean, they're two different pieces of equipment. And what we were looking for, I believe, collectively, is something that could identify what specific apparatus that we should be looking at moving forward, whether that is a ladder truck or something other than a ladder truck. Just to be specific, I don't mean to constantly pick on the ladder truck.
Nope.
Sometimes I do, but that's really what I was looking for, is someone that has to make a decision like that. What specific needs for apparatus does this particular town have based on demographics, et cetera?
Okay.
You know, Chief, I know you're very anxious to get going with this, but you know, what I'm thinking at this point is that, one, we should wait until we have a town manager on board and have that person help lend their experience and guidance to the process. And I just lost my second thought. Oh, it'll come back to me. But I'm thinking we wait till the town manager comes on board, and kind of review where we should go with that to get the questions we want answered.
Hey,
So-
Chief, could I ask? Oh, sorry, did I cut somebody off again? I just
Go
have
ahead,
one more
Rich.
question in regards to a particular study of that nature from what you've seen in the past. And I've looked at them, but you know, I'm just a lay person. I don't necessarily know what I'm looking at when it comes to stuff like that. But would it identify necessarily usage of that vehicle in term of service and, for lack of better words, useful life in a town like this? Because we always seem to go by, like you and I have talked about this in your office, the quote unquote NFPA standard, which also encompasses New York City, Chicago, and LA. Well, what's the standard for towns such as Durham
Yes,
as the usage of these vehicles?
it would include a recommendation. Like, to answer your question, it would include a recommendation around something like that, because once again, in the community I served in previously, there's a truck that was built in '91 that's still in service. That's still their primary, you know, second due pump truck. That was built very well. That was identified and recommended in the study. So it's about a lot of that is focused around, you know, the condition of the apparatus, the use of it, how often, you know, is it first due, is it second due, how often is it used that way? So yes, those would be answered in that type of study. To go back to Kevin's question or statement before, we would get all of these answers by doing the full fire protection study through a company like EVR. From their recommendation in their letter, that starts with the apparatus review for them. That starts with the base of what we have and what we can do with it, and then going forward. But that also encompasses us gathering information from the community about what they want for fire protection and EMS.
Can you reach back out to them and ask them about the fire protection analysis, what the total package is for both? I mean, because I read this Angola Fire Department one. I mean, I didn't read it. Okay.
Yeah.
Just flip through it. I mean,
Just
let's be
saying.
honest.
Skimmed it,
I mean, it
skimmed it.
talks about, you know, water availability. I mean, it's some of the things we're talking about, response times at different parts of the town,
Right.
different types of structures in the town. I mean, it sounds
I
like,
don't want to give a number, because once again, I don't want to pin a company into
no, I don't want
discussion.
you to do that. I just think we should reach out to them and find, I mean,
I
the study
was
could be $44,000 like the other one is, you know?
No, it's not. I had a rough price that was discussed around 26,000 for the entire thing.
So so I remembered the other thing that I drew a blank on before, kind of like the two things, where I'm thinking right now is that we should, and this isn't that far off. Wait until we hire a town manager, and then I think we should have, I think we should just reject all of these and bring emergency vehicle response and municipal resources in to meet with the board and answer questions and give us a presentation on what they would do along with the new town manager. And then maybe we do more of the request for quote that Rob mentioned and say, okay, this is what we're looking for. We want to be able to answer these questions. Give us a quote on the work necessary to do that. Rob?
I just want to point out that I pulled up Chief's RFP here, and it was very clear, like to me, the primary objectives, the first one is determine if the resources currently allocated to Durham Fire and Rescue are appropriate given the characteristics of Durham and community expectations. I mean, that's the first bullet point in the RFP.
But
And it sounds-
nobody sitting here can actually make a factual comment on what the community expectations are.
But that's what we're asking them to find. And my point is they sent us this tiered approach, and this tier is going to get them in the door. But tier one, and I think what I'm hearing from feedback from the board is tier one is not what we're looking for. So we want the whole package or nothing.
Yeah, and I wonder, Chief, you said that, that tier one would come first. And as I'm thinking about this, that actually sounds backwards to me. It feels like that first you need to go through the work and assess, well, what do you want the fire department to be? And then you determine, okay, what equipment do we need or not need to fulfill that mission versus the other way around.
Yeah, because if you go ask the town that first, the town's gonna say, yeah, well, I want 24/7 EMS. I want, 24/7 staff at the fire station. Oh, well, it's gonna cost you $750,000 a year. Okay, well,
No, well, let's not do that.
I think that's the problem with going to the town first.
The point is that it's our job to garner that information about what the town wants, and I agree with that. And secondly, I understand how it may seem backwards to people, but I'm also gonna take the recommendation of a company that's been doing this for 25 or 30 years on the scale that they do it on. That's the smarter approach for them to develop the best information for us.
I think this whole conversation illustrates why we need them here to talk to us and give us a presentation.
Okay.
So, I think we're all on board, Chief, with doing some work to get some answers. We just got to land on what's the right work that we need to do. So, all right. Anything else in your report, Chief?
Nope, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
All right. Town administrator report.
Yep. So I don't really have much left over because everything I put in my report usually shows up on the agenda anyways. We did have the town property inspection today, MMA Insurance. They came and inspected the town office, the Eureka, the Union Church, the River Park, and the fire department and the salt shed as well. And the gentleman said that he found nothing to suggest that we do, and he's going to send me an email to that regards. And I've never had an inspection that went that way. So
We go right to tier 3. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
so kudos to everybody in town who's been taking care of our properties.
Great. Good to hear.
Let's see here, working on renewing our property and liability insurance. And then everybody needs to know the annual reports are in. Annual town reports are here in the office. They're also available online. And they're also at the get and go, yes. And so does anybody have any questions?
Just one question,
Go ahead, Mark.
and this is in the consent agenda, but what exactly is a bottle club? Maybe for the new guy on the board?
Bottle club is where
That the
people can
AMVETS is
bring,
looking for?
Bring your own.
people can bring booze into the AMVETS.
Okay, got it.
It's a renewal, so
Yeah,
Okay.
bring your own. That's what they've always been.
BYOB, buddy.
Okay. Thank you.
all right. So that's it, Ruth, for you for your
Yeah,
report?
I'm not, if nobody has questions, I'm good.
Okay, so we do have a couple of abatements to go through. So I am going to move that we go into assessor's session.
Second.
Second.
Rob seconds. I'll call your name and you vote whether to go into assessor session. Todd Boyer,
Yes.
Rich George,
Yep.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
Mark Farren,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. All right, these, if you recall, a year or so ago, we decided that we were no longer going to collect property tax on common areas of subdivisions because we were actually spending more in resources chasing the very small amounts of money than we were actually getting from the taxes. So there were two common areas that were missed when we took them off the tax rolls, if you will. And so these, both of these abatements are for that situation. So my first motion is that we grant a tax abatement for the tax year of 2020 in the amount of $182.25 for map 2, lot 23.
I will second that.
Rob seconds. Any questions or discussion on that? All right, I'll call for the vote. Todd Boyer,
Abstain.
Rich George,
Yes.
Mark Farren,
Yes.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So we have a 4-0 vote with Todd abstaining. And the next one, same situation. I'm going to move that we grant an abatement in the amount of $206.55 for the 2020 tax year for map 7, lot 17K.
Second.
Rich seconds. Any discussion or questions on this one? All right, call for the vote. Todd Boyer,
Yes.
Rich George,
Yes.
Mark Farren,
Yes.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Okay. I move that we adjourn assessor's session.
Second.
Rich seconds. Call for the vote. Todd Boyer,
Yep.
Rich George,
Yes.
Mark Farren,
Yes.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
and I am a yes. I'm going to move that we, item 7 on the agenda, move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Rob seconds. Call for the vote. Todd Boyer,
Yes.
Rich George,
Yes.
Mark Farren,
Yes.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. Okay, our next regular meeting, actually the next important date is Tuesday, April 6th, voting from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the AMVets Hall for our referendum town meeting, but absentee ballots are actually available now until, what's the deadline for absentee ballots, Ruth?
The Thursday before, which is, I don't know, what is the Thursday?
April 1st.
April
I think that's
1st?
the
Okay.
first.
Yeah.
April 1st when we close at 6:30.
Okay. And then our next regular board meetings, Tuesday, April 13th at 6:30 and Tuesday, April 27th at 6:30. All right, at this point, I'm going to move that we enter executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA section 4056A personnel matters discussion.
Second.
Rich seconds. Call for the vote. Todd Boyer,
Yes.
Rich George,
Yes.
Mark Farren,
Yes.
Rob Ponto,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Okay, we are in executive session. All right, so